A two-shot autoloader. The highest single alpha on a heavy tank on tier 8 if you are ignoring derp guns. Good armor and decent mobility. That is the upcoming tier 8 Czechoslovakian heavy tank, the Skoda T56. Like, that thing is a handful. Obviously the characteristics are not final, but just right now from the paper, 460 alpha, 2-round autoloader, 4-second interclip, 920 burst in 4 seconds. That thing is strong. That thing looks, in my opinion, very, very strong, but also very interesting and unique. So let's just jump in and compare it to 3 different tanks as well. I've decided to take the 53 TP because it will probably play very similar to the 53 TP. The Progetto 54 because it was a recent addition with a close-ish mechanic. Sure, auto reloader is not like an autoloader, but yeah, and the Brusque obviously because right now the Brusque is also getting sold, by the way. And the Brusque is a tank which has this two-shot autoloader and it's considered to be the strongest or one of the strongest, not even most broken tier 8 premium tanks in the game. And this is due to the fact that it has a very quick burst, very good DPM and insane mobility. However, the burst time isn't that good on the on the Skoda T56. And mobility is obviously not as good either because it's a heavy tank. However, you have armor and HP for that. Now, 460 alpha, 25 seconds clip reload, and 4 seconds burst time. This gives us roughly a DPM of 1903 base, without any vents, without any rations, etc, etc. You have this 920 burst because you have the highest single shot alpha in tier 8. If you again ignore tier 8 heavies, and if you ignore tanks like the OHO with its derp gun. 460 alpha is massive. It's a 130mm gun after all. And again, 920 burst. The pen kind of sucks, 208 on AP rounds. You can work with that, but you have a heat round with 290mm of pen. Your HE, 68mm of pen, yeah. Might be useful sometimes against the RHM, and then it will be massive as you're just going to obliterate the Borsig because you literally just two-shot it and he's gone in 4 seconds. The thing is, the 53 TP has 1984 DPM, which is okay. But the thing, it kind of feels weird that the burster or the tank with a clip has 1900, you know. It's very close to what a D53 TP has. So I'm a little bit concerned about that because that DPM is still very good for an autoloader. The Progetto, for example, has to pay a lot for that, 1476 DPM, and he only has a burst capability of 960 in 7 seconds. Yes, it is a little bit more than what our Skoda has, but still. And the Brusque, 720 alpha in 2 seconds and 1800 DPM. So we are actually 100 DPM ahead of the Brusque, which is also fairly interesting. And shell velocities, 1020 for the AP, 920 for the HE, for the heat, and 863 for the HE. It's fine, you can work with that. Let's move to the gun handling, and here it is actually fairly okay. Sure, accuracy is not that good, 0.4. It's actually better than the Brusque has. Aim time, sure, not that good, 2.9 versus the 3.5 of the Brusque and the 2.5 and the 2.7 of the 53 TP and Progetto. The accuracy on the move is okay, 0.2, actually better than what the Progetto has. And 0.12 on the turret, that is also fairly okay. An additional thing is the aftershock dispersion is 5. It is the highest what I know at the moment for any tier 8 tank. Even a T77, which is known to be very inaccurate after shooting, still has 4.5 and not 5. So this might be a little bit of an issue. Sure, you have 4 seconds to re-aim, but it still might be an issue for the Skoda T56. And we have 8 degrees of gun depression. That is comfortable. That is not very comfortable, but that's fairly comfortable to work with. And this will make this tank a pretty decent hull down fighter as well. Look, if you just look at those values for the gun itself, I feel like it is an interesting tank which will be interesting to play, you know. I know, very good sentence, Raging. The thing and the problem I'm seeing is that a 2-shot autoloader is an absurdly strong mechanic. It basically allows you to have the best of both worlds. Yes, it is not an auto reloader. An auto reloader like the Progetto 46, the medium tank has, is absurdly strong, as you have really the best of both worlds. You have great DPM and yet you have amazing burst potential. The thing, however, is that you have such a short clip reload time of 25 seconds, which you can probably push down to 22 seconds, that, in my opinion, just on paper, it feels fairly strong. Maybe a little bit too strong, as you simply have this good DPM, you know. And the thing is, the Bourrasque has for itself its mobility and camouflage and fuel range, you know. So it is much easier to get this burst where you need to be and be able to get massive damage potentials. Like, I think the Bourrasque had around 3,500 or even 4k expected values for the third mark, because yes, it is that strong, and I don't think the Skoda will be able to get to that at all, because again, it's too slow. We'll just see this right now. 45 kph top speed, 15 kph in reverse, 13.5 HP per ton ratio, and a terrain resistance from 1.1, 1.2 and 2.3, which is exactly the same what the Progetto 54 has. The thing is, less top speed than the 53 TP, worse HP per ton ratio, and slightly better-ish terrain resistances, but only slightly. Hull 26 and turret 26. It's the worst of the bunch. The Bourrasque we can't even take because the Bourrasque is absurd when it comes to mobility. That's just this, yeah. Like, this is what the Bourrasque makes so OP, because you have everything except for armor and HP and accuracy. But the accuracy on a move is good enough, so you still hit. It's so hard to judge a tank from just the paper stats, especially if it is such a mechanic. I don't know, boys. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what to think. By the way, may I say my thanks to World of Tanks. I am our wargaming rather in that regard. Thank you very much for putting the turret traverse speed also to mobility, so it mirrors what we have right here in tanks.gg, because it used to be in the gun firepower stats, so I constantly had to say, yeah, and the turret did them, you know. Thank you very much, wargaming. And lastly, the survivability. 1,500 hit points, totally a-okay, it's the best of the bunch. 100 armor on the hull, that is okay, not that good. 70 on the side, that is actually not that good, to be honest, but you can work with that. 220 on the turret front, now that is juicy. 95 on the turret side, that is also okay. 370 meters of view range, that is, yeah. You will most likely play this tank with vents, with stabilizer, and then either something like IRM, turbocharger might be also a good option, maybe the hit point module because it's a heavy tank, or in my case probably optics, because I just want that view range. I like view range and I'm a view range whore in that regard. Armor wise, it's hard to judge. This thing actually has, like the Bisont and like the Super Pershing, apparently additional armor plates on the cheeks, making them a little bit harder to penetrate and a little bit more resilient against HE rounds and heat rounds in that regard. But again, the upper front plate, only 100 millimeters, probably will be fairly easy to penetrate. I'd say it might be on the level of a T29. I don't think it will be on the level of a 53 TP. 53 TP has 110 millimeters. It's fairly good actually, because of the angle. But this one, I don't think so. And look at that, huge cupola. So if this is something we can go off and say that the tier 9 and tier 10 tank will be equally, like with a 2-shot autoloader, with good big cupolas, good gun impression, maybe high alpha damage, that is a-okay. That is a-okay, especially if it has big cupolas and good to hit weak spots. But also something I cannot shake. By the way, thanks to my friend for pointing it out. That looks very close to the T62M. A modification of the T62 with those composite armor plates. Obviously, this is not going to be composite armor plates, but it is going to be just some Kruppstahl to give it additional armor. So wargaming, if you're already trying this out, why not give it to the T62A? You know, maybe make it a little bit more stronger on the turret than the 140 in that regard. Even a little bit more stronger, make it more unique. Would be an interesting idea, you know, give it a little bit more armor. Yeah, let's just move on to the conclusion, because again, that tank is a handful and a mouthful, and for me personally, at the moment, the more I think about it, it's very hard to judge where this tank is going to be. I'm just a little bit concerned that this tank doesn't know a balanced state. And again, those characteristics are not final. My issue is that a 2-round autoloader is super easy to use and it's very strong. Just look at the EBR-75, just look at the Bourrasque. Those tanks, yes, they obviously have a quicker burst time. And they're more mobile, which gives them an advantage over the Skoda T56. But the thing is, you should, in theory, always be able to outtrade your enemy. Not only do you have 460 alpha, you have the potential of doing 920 burst. So, in 1 minute, you basically kill every single tier 8 tank if you penetrate your rounds. They can do that too. Obviously, most of them have more than 1500 DPM. But you have the advantage of choosing the engagement. Because you can peek out, make, and go back into cover and reload. Most of them have to just do. You know, they have to continuously shoot. You can just burst. And in the current meta, where we usually have corridors where you can just go into cover immediately after shooting, it makes this tank fairly strong. However, the fact that it doesn't have good mobility and a 4-second interclip, this is very, very important. 4 seconds is a very long time in World of Tanks. If you bought the Foch 155, you will know what I mean. 5 seconds, in 5 seconds, loads of things can happen. They can get into cover, they can die, they can kill you. And that's the same thing with 4 seconds, so keep that in mind. However, I don't know, like, I think this tank is going to be tested vigorously to not make it OP. And that tank will get tested very soon. Just look at the model. It's literally almost finished. Like, we had other models like of the Progetto 56 tier 9 heavy tank, or 55 I think. It looked far less finished when it came to the super test. This is basically finished, you know? So it will be very interesting to see how this tank performs. And when we will get this tank, I think that we'll get this tank around in June, maybe. In the summer update, 1.13. Might be interesting to see. I don't know, like, I'm looking forward on one hand, but I'm also kind of scared if this tank might break a little bit balance because of the highest alpha damage of a tier 8 heavy tank. Again, excluding OHO with the HE gun, which is shooting AP. And the absurd burst. It looks cool, it looks interesting to play. Let me know in the comment section below, because right now I am a little bit... I don't know, I really can't say what I should say yet. I like the concept, I'm scared though. So yeah, let me know in the comment section below what I couldn't do better in those videos. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to be always up to date with everything World of Tanks related. And I see you around. Oh yeah, I forgot to make myself big. Hello there.